In this video, we're reviewing pitching rules in NFHS baseball. Specifically, today we'll cover ambidextrous pitchers, the difference between the pitcher being engaged to the rubber and off of the rubber, as well as swapping between the windup and the set positions. So we'll start by reviewing the relevant rules in the rules book, and then we'll work through this week's case plays. Now, if you want to see how well you can do on this week's quiz before reviewing it with me, you can find a link to it in the video description below. Hi everyone, Patrick Farber here with GHSA Baseball Umpire Development and Umpire Classroom, where we help umpires develop their knowledge and skills. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and in the video description you can sign up to receive our weekly emails. Okay, let's get started. First, let's review Rule 6-1-1. The pitcher shall pitch while facing the batter from either a wind-up position or a set position. The position of his feet determines whether he will pitch from the wind-up or set position. Now, I want to tag on a critical definition that goes along with this rule. Rule 2-28-6. The pitcher's pivot foot is the foot with which the pitcher contacts the pitcher's plate when he delivers the ball. For example, the pivot foot is the left foot for a left-handed pitcher. So that's the definition for a pivot foot, and as a little preview for what's coming in 2023, it's going to be extremely important to look at the positioning of the pivot foot when determining whether or not a pitcher is going from the windup or the set position. Now back to Rule 6-1-1. The pitcher shall take or simulate taking a sign from the catcher with his pivot foot in contact with the pitcher's plate. This is a change that was first implemented for the 2022 season. The purpose of it was to legalize a pitcher getting his signals from the dugout. The important part here is that the Rules Committee still wanted the pitcher to look in at the catcher to get his signal. Even though he might not actually be using a sign from the catcher, the Rules Committee didn't want the pitchers to get an unfair advantage over the batter. By still looking in to get their sign, that helps to keep the pitcher from quick pitching to the batter. Rule 6-1-1 continues. The pitching regulations begin when he intentionally contacts the pitcher's plate. We'll circle back to this in a minute, but for now, keep in mind and emphasize that the rules require intentional contact with the pitcher's plate for pitching regulations to start. Further down in the rule, if a pitcher is ambidextrous, the umpire shall require the pitcher to face a batter as either a left-handed pitcher or right-handed pitcher, but not both. This last part of the rule answers two questions umpires may have when it comes to ambidextrous pitchers. The first is that an ambidextrous pitcher can only face a batter using one hand or the other. They cannot swap during the at-bat. The second is that if we have an ambidextrous pitcher and a switch hitter, the pitcher must decide first which hand they're going to throw with, and the batter then can react to what the pitcher chooses. But the pitcher can't react to what side the batter chooses to go from. Now, let's circle back to pitching regulations and that emphasis on intentional engagement to the rubber. Rule 6-1-5. When a pitcher is attempting to field a batted or thrown ball, or is throwing to a base while his pivot foot is clearly off his plate, his status is that of an infielder, except that if a batted ball passes but does not touch him and then strikes an umpire or a runner, the ball may become dead because of interference. So when we break this down, the rule gives us two examples that we must use when enforcing these rules. The first is easy. If the pitcher is not engaged to the rubber, then his status is that of an infielder. The second part of this is that if a pitcher, while touching or engaged to the rubber, fields a thrown or batted ball, then they're also supposed to be treated as an infielder. For example, if an infield fly is hit and the pitcher backs up to catch the ball and while catching is touching the rubber, they wouldn't be considered a pitcher in that instance, they would still be considered an infielder. This means that as soon as they catch that, they could feint a throw to first and not be called for a balk because they're acting as an infielder and not a pitcher. So now that we've reviewed this week's rules, let's go ahead and jump into the case plays. Case play number 1. Switch hitting B1 steps in against ambidextrous F1. B1 assumes a position in the batter's box as a left-handed hitter, prompting F1 to prepare to pitch left-handed. B1 quickly changes to the other batter's box to bat right-handed. F1 then switches to pitch right-handed. How is this situation prevented? A, the pitcher must decide which arm they will throw with first, or B, the batter must decide to bat left or right-handed first. The correct answer here is A. The pitcher is the one that has to decide first which hand they're going to throw with, and then a switch hitter could pick which side of the plate they want to bat from based off of the pitcher. Case play number 2. While off the pitching plate, the pitcher looks to the dugout and receives the signal for the next pitch. The pitcher next legally steps on the pitching plate, looks at the catcher, and then delivers a legal pitch. The opposing coach insists that a balk should be called because the pitcher did not take his sign from the catcher. Is this a balk? The correct answer here is that this is not a balk. The rules change allows for the pitcher to get his signal from the dugout and not from the catcher. And since the pitcher in this scenario simulates looking in for the signal from the catcher, this is a legal pitch and delivery. Case play number 3. With R3 on third, F1 assumes his windup position and takes his sign from the catcher. He now decides to pitch from the set position. He disengages the rubber and then assumes the set position. Is this a balk? The correct answer here is that this is not a balk. A pitcher can start in the windup or the set positions, but so long as they disengage the rubber legally, they're able to swap positions as they prefer. Case play number 4. With R3 on third and R1 on first, F1 is in the set position on the rubber. F1 steps back off the rubber and throws to first base. The throw is wild and goes out of play. How many bases are awarded? The correct answer here is 2. If the pitcher had stayed engaged to the rubber and then thrown the ball out of play, it would have had a 1 base award. But when the pitcher disengages the rubber, they become an infielder. And a throw out of play by an infielder has a 2 base award. So there you have it, our review of some of the pitching rules in high school baseball. If you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and you can sign up to receive our weekly rules quizzes in the video description below. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I look forward to seeing you on the field.